we're taking Glenn Beck's Parenting Class 101. Because let's just say that I have experience in things like this. Let's just imagine for a second that I have two younger children. Let's make up names. One is Rafe and one is Cheyenne. And Cheyenne is constantly needling Rafe, constantly. And does everything she can just to get under his skin, knowing that he has a temper and he's going to lash out. Rafe, knowing that he is far from a saint on this, he also needles his sister. I break this up all the time. I don't care. I don't care who started it. You both are at fault. Get along with each other. Okay. Now, let's look at Jim Acosta and Donald Trump. I don't know what that story of Rafe and Cheyenne have to do with these two. We're hearing now one of them, let's say the Rafe, Donald Trump, who has a temper and who is not an angel by any stretch of the imagination and has his own issues. He's talking to Jim Acosta. Let's say he's Cheyenne, who is constantly needling just to get under his skin. The Rafe character, Donald Trump, is answering the Cheyenne character, Jim Acosta, and is trying just to, okay, all right, yes, I know, and I got it, and trying to answer properly, trying to answer nicely, but Jim Acosta just wants to be an advocate, not a journalist. So let's pick it up where he started to say, you accused everybody of, you're a racist because you were just throwing these poor migrant workers under the bus with a video. Here it is.
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. They have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process. And I want
Jim, did you get a job without the process?
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
That's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors.
Stop just a second. Now, Jim, how is it, other than you're an activist, how is it that they're not going to be doing that? Because it wasn't just a video of migrants. It was a video of these, quote unquote, migrants doing that to get into Guatemala and Mexico. So what evidence do you have that they will not be doing this to America? This is not just some, random tape. This is this, quote, migrant caravan. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual.
So he's got to come up with something new.
It happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away.
Stop just a second. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. Just like, I guess, Jim, we could say the pipe bomber was hundreds and hundreds of miles away from you. The Soviet Union was thousands and thousands of miles away. There is such a thing as spotting trouble before it is on your doorstep. The Nazis were hundreds and thousands of miles away. They were on the other side of the earth. We ignored them. Not probably the best idea, because when you do, you're out of options. Now, listen to the rest.
It's not an invasion.
Honestly,
it's not
an invasion.
You
should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may.
Now, he's about to say, what is the first thing you say if you want to have two questions with the president? When you stand up, what is the first thing you say?
Mr. President, I have two questions.
Mr. President, I have two questions. Mr. President, I have a question and a follow-up. Okay? Always. He didn't say that. You get one question. There are hundreds of people in the room. Jim wants another question. Go ahead.
Ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Mr. President, that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russian investigation.
Now, this is when the White House made its mistake later with Sarah Sanders. They are trying to say that Jim Acosta accosted this woman. No, he didn't. Period. There was no violence. They didn't accost. Was he rude to her? Yes, because all he cares about is grandstanding. That's all he cares about.
Yes.
Let me ask you, what happens? People in the press say all the time now, oh, he's got a right. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He was called on. The president asked and answered his questions. He called on him. So now he wants to grandstand. Now he's not going to surrender the microphone. Let me ask you, what happens when you are at a lecture series and they take questions from the audience and somebody won't sit down? Eventually, the crowd says, shut up and sit down. But not here, because the crowd is against the Rafe character. They're all in bed with Cheyenne. They want to prove how violent Rafe is. So what happens? The president says, enough, enough, enough. His temper is getting the best of him. He walks away from the microphone so he doesn't say anything stupid. He walks away from the microphone, hoping that someone will say, come on, Jim, knock it off. We all have questions here. But nobody does. He sends in the person to take the microphone to be able to pass it to the next journalist. Jim Acosta won't do it. When you're at a comedy club, do you want some decorum? You're at a lecture, comedy club, press conference, college classes, and they say, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. And everybody starts chanting something. You don't have a civilization anymore. If you don't have some sort of decorum, if you don't have some sort of rule, then you have anarchy. Maybe that's why CNN doesn't have a problem with Antifa, because they are creating anarchy everywhere they go.